Today we're going to draw this boot. Now this boot is available in a PDF that you can bring up on your computer screen or you can print out. It's totally up to you. But I will have an image of this boot in the lower left-hand corner of the screen while we are drawing. So it's totally up to you how you want to visualize this boot for this exercise. Okay, art fans, let's get started with this drawing. Now I'm using micron pens, but you can use Sharpies, you can use ballpoint pens, you could even use a pencil if you wanted to. Not that big of a deal. The first thing we're going to do is the outline. Now, the outline is going to be the visible outer edge of the shape or the object we are drawing. And today we're drawing this old boot. And the image should be in the left bottom hand corner of the screen. Now, as I'm drawing the outer edge of the boot's shape, I am not going to put any emphasis on the internal details of the shoe. That's going to come later when we look at contour. Now, one thing I also want you to remember is that you can pause this video at any time, and the image that we are drawing, in this case the boot, is available in a PDF. So if you want to print it out and take a look at it, you most certainly can do that as well. Okay, so once you've done the outline, we can start looking at the contour. Now, the contour is what's really going to help capture the three-dimensionality of the form. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break up the space with one thin line, which is going to be the part of that shoe that's closest to us visibly. And just by drawing that one line, you can see that we have created a very simple illusion of dimensionality. I think it's really important for us to start with the element of line when we're learning how to draw, because it's something that we have always done ever since we were little kids. We did these line drawings, whether they be stick figures or I don't know, doodles in our sketchbooks or on napkins or whatnot. Line is something that we already can relate to. Okay, so once you have that idea of contour, we're going to do something called continuous line. And continuous line drawing is where you put the point of your pen or your pencil on the paper and you make one continuous line throughout the drawing to get all the nooks and the crannies and the wrinkles and the different details within the boot. Okay, and you're probably wondering, okay, why is a continuous line exercise so important when we are learning how to draw? And there's a couple different reasons. And the first one is it sharpens your observational skills. Now, by drawing without lifting that pen or that pencil, it's really forcing you to actively see, actively observe the lines and the transitions within the subject matter that you are drawing. And this is going to, maybe not immediately, but over time, give you a better understanding of what you are drawing and allow you to make informed decisions on the accuracy of your drawn line. And while you're doing this, it's also helping you to improve hand-eye coordination. You know, I'm probably working a little faster than you are, but this is an exercise I have done for years. And so I tend to go a little faster than maybe you are. And so don't feel intimidated by that. while you are drawing, if you need to pause this video to really take your time and look at all those wrinkles within the boots to get that detail, then go ahead and do that. It will only help enhance your learning um, segment for this exercise. And while I realize that sometimes observational drawing, which is what we're doing here, we're looking at an object and we are drawing what we see, may not feel very imaginative or expressive. But another reason to practice continuous line drawing is really allowing you to learn about expressive line quality and how to capture movement and energy utilizing that continuous line. And the more you do this exercise, the easier it will become to sit down and start drawing what you see in front of you. Now, one thing you can do when you've got different sort of pens, like my Micron pens, I've got a 1 and I've got a 12, is that once you've got your initial continuous line, you can kind of go back in and play with the idea of line weight. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the original contour line that broke up that space, and I'm just gonna widen that line just to kind of create a little bit more of a sense of space within that form, so that when you're looking at that boot, you can say, yes, that part of the boot is closest to me. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, another thing you can start doing with line is that you can start bringing in those mark making methods. You know, we can start doing hatching and cross hatching if we want. You know, utilizing line is a great source of mark making tool. And if you haven't watched that video on mark making, I highly encourage you to do it. It just allows you to create some interesting decisions in regards to your drawing. Now, you are more than welcome to mimic what I'm doing. You know, I'm darkening the sole of the boot, or you could even say I'm coloring in the sole of the boot using hatch marks, which are those short continuous lines to create the illusion of tone. Or you could, you know, do something completely on your own. You know, try stippling, try cross hatching. You could even try, you know, squiggly marks, you know, to create that sense of pattern. All of those mark making methods are going to create a sense of tonality or darkness in the sole of the boot. Now I'm just speeding up this process here, but feel free to pause the video if you need to, just to give yourself enough time to get that sole finished. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at making some marks in different areas of this boot. So I'm not quite sure what it's called, the holes in the shoe where you put those shoelaces, but I'm going to just create some hatches within those round areas, the metal part of that shoe, so that I can kind of create some tonality difference within the drawing. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use line to create a sense of tonality, or we could also call it shading, to indicate the interior of the boot. And you can tell by creating that line work indicating the interior of the boot, you're also bringing out that implied shape of where those shoelaces go on the other side of the boot. So we're creating this illusion of space just by using line. And of course, again, I just want to repeat that this is an exercise. So you can totally mimic me if you want, or you can do your own thing. It's your exercise, it's your learning moment. So you do what you need to do in order to get this concept down. Now, what I'm also doing now is I am going back with those lines in some areas and I'm changing the direction. So I'm creating hatch marks to create further darkness, further tonality to create that illusion of space. Okay, so if you haven't tried this mark making technique yet, I am going to take my size 12 micron pen and I'm going to use stippling. Now, if you haven't watched the mark making video, stippling is just utilizing the pen or the pencil and by making lots of little dots, and that's what stippling is. Lots of little dots together, and that's going to create a different kind of texture and tonality. It's going to darken the area if you put lots of those dots close together. If you break them apart and the further the dots are from each other, then the lighter the area or the texture of the surface you are drawing becomes. And once I'm done with the stippling, I'm just going to kind of go back to hatching in some areas just to further develop this exercise drawing. But what you do is completely up to you. I'm just going to try to keep pushing this exercise even further, and I encourage you to do the same. The more mark making, the more line work you do in this exercise, the more opportunities you have for yourself to explore and learn. Okay, so feel free to pause this if you want to explore continuous line or mark making um, a little bit more further than we do in this video. But now I'm going to take my red micron pen, and you can use a red colored pencil, or you can just continue to use pencil or any kind of pen if you want. And we're going to explore cross contour. Now, cross contour is a drawing technique that uses lines to create three-dimensional form on a flat surface. Now that's the definition. So let's now break it down into something practical. And basically what you're doing is you are creating these curved lines within a curved surface, like the toe area of the boot, and you're working horizontally with a curved line, and you're working vertically with that curved line, crossing those lines, and that's going to create this mesh look. And what it's doing is it's allowing us to create that illusion of dimensionality um, within the element of line. Now, it doesn't matter if you start working vertically or horizontally, or you decide to go back and forth. It doesn't really matter. What works best for you is totally fine. But what I'm doing is my lines are sort of undulating, and I'm mimicking those outlines of the boot, which we did in the very beginning of this video. And by undulating the lines, I am allowing that boot to have some visual dimensionality. And I'm going to repeat those lines across the surface. And I'm going to do that vertically, and I'm going to do that horizontally. It's almost like creating a sense of terrain across the surface of the object you're drawing. And it really helps you in indicating the spatial depth of the object. Now, don't be afraid to explore this cross contour further in your exercise. Here I am utilizing cross contour within the heel of the boot. And I don't know, maybe you're saying, but Erin, this is ruining my drawing. Now, look. This is just an exercise. Have fun. We are just learning. Not everything that we do is going to be a masterpiece. Now, if you want this to be something that you frame and you hate this cross contour development, then don't do it. It's your drawing. It's your learning experience. It's totally fine. If you want to continue doing this cross contour technique across the entire boot, then go for it. But I'm just here to show you the tools that can help you cultivate good drawing practice. So have some fun. Don't take these exercises so seriously that you lose any sort of enjoyment. Okay, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to work in pen and say, I hate this, and start over and work in pencil so that you can erase things. It's totally fine. However, or whatever you need to do to learn, you do it. I'm just trying to show you different ways to get to that end point. And in the spirit of having some fun, in the spirit of play, let's create a ground, a ground for this boot to sit on. Now, in the photograph, there is a shadow underneath the boot that's quite small, and then with the toe of the boot coming up, there's a larger shadow. But let's have some fun. Let's imagine the surface of this boot being quite much larger, and just play with some mark making and maybe frame out that space a little bit. At this point, your drawing can go any direction you want, but I'm just gonna have some fun, and I'm going to make up a surface for this boot. Okay, art fans, I hope you learned a lot in this video, and you can appreciate line and its different uses and formations within your drawing education. I hope you keep utilizing line and pushing your skills, and I look forward to drawing with you in the next video.